My name is Jean Sullivan. I am HR Manager within Enterprise Ireland. I think it was timely for us as an organisation. We were conducting a staff survey and we were looking at our wellness programme within the organisation. And typically we had looked at our wellness programme in relation to physical health and mental awareness and mental agility, and we realised that there was actually more to that agenda, and we were looking at developing a more structured wellness programme, and we were looking at assessing some data across the organisation, and we worked with a place to work to support us in engaging our staff to allow us to be able to gather that data, so that would inform maybe the next steps in terms of what a structured wellness programme would look like. We discovered that our staff within the organisation were really interested in a wellness programme, that the wellness programme itself potentially has 4 key elements to it. One is around the purpose of Enterprise Ireland and why it is that everybody comes to work every day, to really work on a strong agenda in terms of supporting Indigenous Irish industry. Capturing that information, working with staff to understand, that there's often challenging demands on individuals across the organisation to support our clients, and looking at what that meant in terms of flexibility, resilience, adaptation to change, and how we could support them within a wellness programme to be appropriately set up for those changes. And we also looked at the behaviours and the value system within the organisation, and how that underpins, I suppose, daily interactions within the organisation. And then we looked at the physical space and also wellness. So as I said earlier, before we were just looking at a wellness agenda with physical and mental health, but now we're looking at the entire environment of the organisation. And I suppose how they all knit together was a surprise to us in terms of the next steps. It was nice to have the data broken down into different cohorts, which gave a review in terms of people's connections to the workplace, the relationships within the workplace, how they felt about the workplace, and then how they felt about their own self-assessment in terms of their own well-being, working within that environment and that climate. We have a workforce that are very focused on the purpose of the organisation, which is to develop the Indigenous industry. Indigenous industry within Ireland goes through a lot of changes on a regular basis, depending on what sector they're in and depending on what other economic factors are impacting on their growth. It is important for all of our staff to be aware of that agenda, but it's also important for our staff to connect internally and to build relationships in relation to the agenda that we have to support our clients, and also how they can work together collaboratively to support our clients. And a wellness agenda supports us in that in terms of connecting our own staff to the purpose and mission of the organisation, and also supporting them through learning and development initiatives to make sure that they're best equipped to deliver on their roles, which reduces stress in the workplace, but increases greater collaboration, which ultimately supports Irish industry. The next steps really are looking at the data that we collated and engaging with our staff really around the areas that I've just worked on. So looking across the values and behaviours of the organisation to support our strategy and our development and the development of our people, and working with our people to support what a structured wellness programme would look like. So we're at the infancy of that piece, we're at the scoping out stage, and we're engaging with our staff to support us on what that structured programme would look like. I would personally recommend the process, as would my team. So there's been a number of individuals within my team who have been working on this engagement with me, and yes, as a collective group, we will support the process. Yes, I think interestingly enough now, when we are recruiting to Enterprise Ireland, and we need to recruit on an ongoing basis to make sure that we have the appropriate skill sets to support the client agenda, that it is the number one question that clients or external candidates ask us is in relation to, well, where are your well-being policies? Where are your supportive policies in relation to employees within the workplace? They don't necessarily use a wellness programme as what they're asking for, but they are very concerned. They are also asked typically in an interview, would we outline what the culture of the organisation is? Would you outline what the working environment within the organisation is? would you outline, does everybody clear about the purpose within the organisation? They ask questions in relation to their cultural fit within the organisation, and there are questions that arise at interview now that wouldn't have arisen even as short as 2 years ago. Yeah. Well, I think the way in which we went about it, which was it has to be an inclusive environment in order to be able to gather the data in the first place. So really what we're trying to do is assess, well, where are we now? Where are we now within our wellness programme? Is the wellness programme fit for purpose for the next 10, 15 years? Is it fit for purpose in terms of the strategic direction of the organisation? And how do you engage all of your staff and encourage them to work with us in terms of surveying that data in order for us to be able to analyse it appropriately and then put in positive measures to support the staff within the structured wellness programme, which is where we're working towards. Yeah, I think again in relation to the leadership piece, when you look at the values and the behaviours and the culture of the organisation, they're all so interwoven that it's important that everyone in the organisation leads by example in relation to cultural climate. And that's important for the leaders in terms of how people see their behaviours and how that's distilled towards the whole organisation. But I think if I was working with the leadership pool, I would be very clear in relation to that data analysis comes from everybody. So the data analysis comes from every single participant within the workplace, and it's that collective view of the organisation and its purpose and its environment and its culture that actually leads to the success. So you don't just focus on the leadership team, it supports the leadership team by making sure that they follow through and that they are stewards of the values and behaviours of the organisation, but it's important that everybody is involved in that conversation and they understand what purpose and values are to them as an individual and what wellness is to them as an individual and how the organisation supports their agenda.